Well, believe it or not, I drink between 9 and 15 cups of tea a day. I don't consider myself hooked, but I do consider tea to be like wine, and I would never drink the same tea all the day long. I usually start the day with English breakfast, something bright and brisk to wake me up and make me feel good, and when I first come to the office I certainly would have that again. But as the day wears on, so my tea choice would change, and I would certainly have Darjeeling at lunchtime, and if it's a really lovely hot day, sadly that's not very often in this country, it would be Lapsang Souchong, that wonderful tarry tasted tea, which goes very well with cucumber sandwiches. On a warm day, Earl Grey. On a colder day, probably Yunnan, a really cold day, Assam. And in the evening, because I drink tea certainly after my evening meal, depending on what I've had to eat or drink, so I would choose my tea. I find Earl Grey is a wonderful palate cleanser. You know, we have wonderful sweet puddings in this country, but it leaves your palate a bit tacky. Earl Grey just cleans it up beautifully. If I've had a white wine, I'd drink oolong. If I had red wine, it would probably be Russian Caravan. But the tea I have most in the evenings is called Rose Pouchon, which is a black China tea with rose petals. Never keeps you awake at night. So that's my tea drinking day. Beginning of the process. We have brought tea from China, India, Ceylon and other places and put it on our other warehouse on the Walworth estate, and when we're ready to blend it, then it is brought here, and it is rather like a housewife making her cake. We put together on the table the eggs, the flour, the sugar, the raisins, whatever else is going to go into the cake. And so these are teas which have been unopened since they came from a tea garden, which when opened and mixed together would form a blend. We're now standing at the tea chest opener, which is a noisy business, but it's much better, and the top is sawn off, the lid removed and the chest turned upside down, and the tea then goes up to the top of the building. And so all these bins are full of fresh tea, which in an area where it all smells of tea will keep well, and then we just roll it through to the mezzanine floor, pull the lever on the bottom, and the tea falls by gravity to the packing machines where we're going next. These are some of our tea bag machines which we'll be going to look at more closely, which are producing tea bags for the export markets.
How many people are working at Twinings in this?
We have in the Twinings 3 factories about 1,000 people. We have another factory at Tyneside and another one in North Carolina at Greensboro.
What are we looking at now, Mr. Frank?
We're looking at jasmine tea, one of the many teas we do from China. About 43% of all the tea Twinings does comes from mainland China. This is very popular because it's a green tea and very low in caffeine, and that's very popular today. This is green gunpowder, and if you look at it closely, it looks shotty. And when the English sailors saw this 300 years ago, when they first got to China, they called it gunpowder, and the name has stuck, and so it's had the nickname ever since. It's a green tea, very light, very thirst-quenching, and very low in caffeine. This is packets for the UK market, and we will be looking at them more closely in a moment. This is for export, all different types of tea bags for the export market. We have to remember that overseas most people don't own a teapot, so tea bags are terribly important. This is a depalletizing machine. We have 5 of them, and they automatically feed the empty tins through to our packing machines so that we can do it electronically and automatically and very cleanly. This is the most fantastic machine. It's made in Germany, and what it does is it puts a tag on the tea bag and a string, and it's a double chamber bag so that the water infuses it through and round. It's a Rolls-Royce tea bag, and these are going for export. We saw these tins just now on the depalletizer. Now they're being filled on a multiple weigher and shaken to get the tea down, brought along to be lidded, dated, and then cellophane wrapped.
What an incredible process going on here. This is jasmine oriental tea going through.
Tea bag having been, the boxes being filled, the lid is shuttered down, and then they're blown by air to the next section where they will be cellophaned. This is what the consumer in the United Kingdom uses. It's a carton with a moisture-proof liner bag which is sealed to keep the tea fresh, and because we drink so much tea in Britain, we don't need to put it in a tin as we do for export. These are cartons for export, same idea as previously, packing a carton of tea.
In the hotel rooms I've been in around the world, I'm always finding Twinings tea. Do you find that's a very good selling point if Twinings are in a hotel room?
Enormously important, A, because we sold them to the hotel in the first place, and because then they're sampling people who've never tried Twinings tea before. Very important part of our strategy. We saw the tea bags being put in their boxes. Now they're being cellophaned and then actually put into a carton automatically and then taken away to be finished off, believe it or not, with a robot. And here is the end of the line. You saw the Earl Grey tea bags being made, filled, cellophaned, and now the robot picks up the finished carton of 12 tea bags and puts it on a pallet ready to be exported.
How much tea goes out of here per day?
I'm not sure, to be exact. All I can tell you, it's an awful lot.
Thousands and thousands of tins of tea and packets of tea, and teas of all descriptions. Earl Grey tea, obviously very, very popular. English breakfast tea, more Earl Grey tea, lemon scent tea, English breakfast tea, jasmine tea, teas of all descriptions. And here we are, the Prince of Wales tea, even. Tea for Fortnum and Masons. I don't know, Tony, the cameraman, likes tea. Do you like tea?
I love tea, yeah. Yeah. No, I like it better than coffee.
We've never seen so much tea. Now, all this is packed for a Pacific customer and ready, and because we spend so much love, care and attention on making sure everything is perfect at Twinings, we load our vehicles here undercover, and in the winter we close down the outer doors so that the tea is actually loaded onto containers or trailers in perfect condition, sealed, and will be shipped out to, say, Australia or Japan, New Zealand, wherever you like to think of, and will arrive, and that's the important thing, in perfect condition.
Well, the function in this room here is that we buy tea, blend tea, and quality control of the products, all for taste. And that's on the basis, of course, that the consumer is going to judge our product by its taste. So that even though we have some fairly sophisticated machinery available to us in our QA lab, it's the taster's decision that carries the day as to whether the product is acceptable for dispatch or not.
Right.
And the way we taste tea here is a quick... And what you're doing in that process is that you are sucking in tea and air, atomising the tea across the back of the palate, ejecting the liquid, and you're left with, on the back of the palate, which is the most sensitive part, what I think the wine buff gets when he waves his glass under his nose and woofs in the bouquet. So would you like to have a go?
Certainly. Very nice.